Hey guys, it's Will. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, thank you for finding us, and I hope you are doing well. I hope you enjoy the content. If you feel like subscribing, it will be much appreciated. Thank you so much. Let's jump right into this video. We are here to talk about the towering masterpiece. I don't know what else I would call it. Andrei Rublev, directed by Andrei Tarkovsky. This is a Soviet film. It was released in 1966, and it is I say this with no hyperbole, truly one of the best movies I have ever seen. And if I had to make a list of like the 25 best films I have ever seen, I would certainly put that film on there. It is an absolutely transcendent cinematic experience. It is an incredible film. It is an epic about medieval Russia. It follows the titular character, Andrei Rublev, who is a Russian icon painter. So he paints religious icons in churches and monasteries and things like that. And it's kind of this like massive sweeping portrait of society, history, religion, and all these other kind of intersecting aspects of human existence in medieval Russia. It's a very immersive film with an incredibly unique and fascinating tone. Looking at it through my personal filter as someone who has like extensively studied Buddhism, when I watched the film, I had this very strong sense of like these Buddhist underpinnings to the film. It's kind of like this dreamlike, surreal film where you kind of drift into these vignettes and you follow these characters and these people and you drift away from them. And it has this kind of like cosmic time scale of things just kind of appearing and dying and epics in history rising and falling. And it's a really, but it's in a very immersive and incredible film and an incredible experience. Now, I know Tarkovsky was, he was Christian, he wasn't Buddhist. So I'm not saying that Tarkovsky had a Buddhist sense when he was making this film. I'm saying just watching it from my filter, that's kind of how I perceived it. Just to give you some info on this movie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at 4 shots in this film, just 4 specific shots from the same sequence in the film, same scene that I was rewatching this film recently. And these shots just blew me away. They're so incredible. The use of cinematic space, what Tarkovsky is doing with the shots, the information that he's giving us about the world and why. This is nothing that I do on this channel is a definitive answer or a fact. That's something that we really need to establish very early on. This is all just kind of theory. This is just me talking about what I see when I watch films that I think is interesting and unique about them that I want to talk about with like-minded people who also love movies, right? So I'm going to talk about 4 shots that are in the same scene. To set up the scene, you have this army that's invading. This army on horseback is coming there, invading this like small town that's built around this big church. And so we're going to be looking at that. So these are battle scenes. So it's not super violent, but there is potentially some disturbing imagery in here. So just to let you know, if that's not something you want to see, there's no like blood or guts or like really disgusting stuff in here, but it is kind of harrowing stuff that's happening. I also just want to mention some other key creative people who were involved in the making of this film. So like I said, Andrei Tarkovsky was the director. He also co-wrote the script. He co-wrote the script with Andrei Konchalovsky, who was also a very famous filmmaker. And interestingly enough, the movie is called Andrei Rublev. The director is Andrei. The writer is Andrei. Everyone in Russia is named Andrei. Vadim Yusov is a cinematographer on this film. And then the art director was Yevgeny Chernyayev. And I apologize, I don't speak any Russian. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce Russian names, but those are the names for you. So let's jump into the scenes themselves, the shots rather. So these are, like I said, these are all just shots. Okay, so I have these kind of laid out chronologically where they appear in the film. So we're going to be watching them, and they all take place over the period of just like a couple minutes within this movie. And 2 of them are actually successive shots. So the second and the third shots that I'm going to show you here happen directly after one another. So this is in the heat of the battle, basically the chaos of the battle. You can see that there are these guys on horseback, and these are like the peasants who kind of live in this town, and they're trying to escape, and they've chased them up against this door. Okay. So first of all, the movement in this shot is incredible. And not just the movement of the camera, but there's all this movement happening within the space, right? And because it's a single shot, we're getting this complete sense of the physical space here. And I also think it's really interesting how he's laid these shots out chronologically. I love this too, because we're getting this notion. What I think Tarkovsky accomplishes really well here in a single continuous shot is giving this tremendous sense of the amount of people who are here and the amount of chaos and violence and confusion that is happening, right? Because you have down here, you have all these people on horseback and torches and swords, and there's like smoke everywhere. And then we come up to the second level of this building, and you see they've got these ladders here. They're running up onto the ladders. People are trying to escape them. And you've got this smaller scale, like human on human violence that is happening, that is very harrowing, and people's lives are at stake in sword fights, and people are being stabbed and killed, and this guy's thrown over, and that reintroduces us to the scene down below, right? So that's such a great way. It's called motivated camera action, essentially. The camera is not moving because the filmmaker thinks I need to move the camera. We see the camera moving because a character is moving and we're going with it, right? So it's motivated within the scene. It's shifting our gaze based on movement that's happening within the scene. This shot, which is, I think, 20 seconds long, what this establishes to me is a broad view of the complete chaos that is happening here all over the place. People on horses, people running around on foot, people getting stabbed, people getting burned, people getting like trampled by horses, just like the kind of general chaos of the battle. So this next shot is the shot that made me want to make this video. It is one of the most astounding shots I've seen recently. I watched it like 3 or 4 times when I was rewatching this movie recently. It really stunned me. I had to keep going back to it. So it's going to happen right after this dude gets tossed off of the whatever this is, the second floor of this building. So he falls down, and we cut to the next shot. Okay, so this is kind of like a little barn type of area. You can see all this hay here, and there's a horse here, and this guy is inside here. I love this use of cinematic space because it's long and it's narrow, and you have all these different, you've got the foreground of the hay, you've got the midground of this guy, and then the background is the outside. So you've got these frames within a frame. It's a very cinematic use of space using a lot of depth, right? And now this is amazing. So this guy comes down here. Now watch here. There's a door right here, right? You can't really tell what this is. It looks like a wall or something. But what this is a door. And this guy is coming down here because he's trying to get away from the chaos that we see happening out here. And he's moving over towards this door. And he swings the door open. This is so theatrical, and yet at the same time, it's so cinematic. It's like the curtain opening on a stage, right? Thematically, it works because we are moving from the story of this guy into the vignette that is happening within the space here. So it's like, here's a new drama within the massive chaos of this battle. And this is going to be an intimate and individual drama based on a single character, as opposed to what we just saw, which was this high level chaos, right? So we've got this kid in the middle here, right? And he's fighting these guys. And look, there's a horse. I love how much is going on in this shot. This horse is running by in the background. I just love, like, you've got this fence. You've got so much to look at. It's such a cinematic space. And yet at the same time, it's kind of like a stage because you have a backdrop here, and we've entered through this door, as in someone is presenting this space to us. So this is one of the invading army guys, and this is like a local peasant guy, and he's trying to kill him. And this is where this shot, I mean, this whole shot is incredible, but I love this. And I didn't expect this the first time I saw this movie. It's a crane shot, and it starts to rise up as this kid starts going up the stairs. So again, it's motivated camera movement. The kid is walking up the stairs, so it's natural and organic that we would be moving up to follow him, right? But look at everything that's going on I'm just going to rewind a little bit here. Look at what's going on in the background here, right? Like, someone's getting attacked here. This guy is chasing someone. There's all these bodies running all over the place, right? There's like multiple dramas happening within this space. You have the fence, and then beyond that, you have this other space, and you can see that this is low-lying land over here. So there's obviously like a hill here, and we have all these trees. You could have very easily have done this shot as just like, we're on the ground, these two guys are fighting. That's the drama. But instead, it's contextualizing the whole world and the entire space. And it's putting this small, intimate, life or death stakes human drama between two people in the context of this massive battle that's taking place. So you're understanding the whole kind of social scheme, if you want to call it that, the chaos of this battle. And then, so the camera goes down when the kid jumps, right? Okay, he can't get in the door. So that's a good little reversal too, right? Because he's going to get stabbed. Okay. He runs up the stairs. We're thinking, okay, he can get away up the stairs. There's a door at the top of the stairs. Crap, the door is locked. We know the guy is coming up the stairs. So there's lots of building tension within this scene too. So it's a good experience for the audience, but it's also thematically kind of showing us this, everything that's happening here, right? So the kid falls down. He runs to this ladder. The guy is running after him, increasing drama, kicks him away, climbs up. Now look in the background. Look at all those horses, all those people riding around. Like, you don't need any of that in the background, right? But it's there because this is, Tarkovsky is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and like epic filmmaking in general. Like if you watch David Lean films and like all these other types of things, like you get lots of crazy background action, right? Even in like big musicals from Hollywood from like the 50s and stuff, you get all this background action, right? Because it lends realism and validity to the cinematic space and stuff like that. But it's such thoughtful and incredible filmmaking. And think of like having to orchestrate this, right? You're trying to set up a crane shot that moves from one space into another, follows a character up, follows the character down, follows the character back up. And while you're trying to work out the mechanics of that and the blocking with the characters, you're also like, okay, we have these horses in the background and we'll have these people fighting over here. This was his second movie, something else to think about. So he's doing all of this. And obviously there's a whole creative team, the art director, the cinematographer, the camera operators, all these people are working with him. But it's only his second film. That's kind of astounding to me. So this guy runs up here, and then this is just another little incredible piece of detail, right? As he runs away that way, the horses are coming this way. So that's something you have to orchestrate. When you're thinking about this shot, you have to cue the guys on the horses, or the women, whoever they are. I'm assuming they're men because the men or the invading army is all men. You got to cue the people on the horses to be running this way, so that exactly at the moment that the kid runs the other way, when the camera is there, the horses arrive. So think about the logistics of having to map that all out just to get this shot. But by having the horses in the background there, it's a 360-degree cinematic space. It gives you such an incredible experience of being in this place. And remember, we've moved at the beginning of this, from the first clip, of seeing high-level chaos of all these bodies and all this space and all this violence happening, to a single individual human drama between these two people within this context. So we're getting the whole kind of bird's eye view, and we're getting these vignettes of personal drama and life or death stakes. So it's building multiple layers of experience for the audience who's being completely immersed in this world. So this next scene is the subsequent scene from that last one we watched. These follow continuously from one another. Oh, and that scene we just watched that shot we watched, excuse me, these are all single shots. That shot we just watched was 46 seconds long. So the first one was 20 seconds and the second one was 46 seconds. So we see this kid running across the road, and we've got this whole village built out in the background. Now, these are the leaders of the invading army who are coming down here. And this scene is like, so first of all, like, I love this use of space, right? Because we have them running from a diagonal. We've got this fence here and we've got the road. So we've got these lines that are drawing movement towards us and drawing our eyes towards them, right? Look at all of this. Look at, like, there's like these shanties. There's so many layers of depth to this shot, right? And what actually happens in this shot is like 2 lines of dialogue, right? So we stop here. These two guys are talking. And this guy mentions, like, there aren't that many people here. Where did everybody go? They must have run away because they knew we were coming. And then this guy, the other guy, laughs about a dog. We'll get to that in a second, right? Because I think that's thematically very interesting. But look at this. Look at all of this depth leading back and away from them, essentially at a vanishing point. The vanishing point is like, for instance, if you're drawing something, if you're painting something and you want to get perspective, the vanishing point is the point around which everything is collapsing so that you can have kind of perspective coming out of that, right? So Stanley Kubrick is a filmmaker who's famous for using like very deliberate vanishing points in a lot of the composition of the images in his film. This kind of feels like you have a vanishing point here with all this depth and perspective and this kind of line towards which everything is going. But something that's worth noting here is that this scene, which is essentially a functional scene of these two guys having a line of dialogue, they could have been standing against a wall talking, right? You don't need all of these horses. You don't need all of this set behind them. You don't need these characters. There's characters moving around back here, right? There's like action happening in the background here. None of this needs to be here, but it is here because this is great epic scale filmmaking where you're completely contextualizing a world, the weather. We see the fog. They're wearing these fur things, so we know it's probably kind of cold. Well, you can even see like the horse's hair is moving, maybe the wind is blowing it around. Like you get so much texture and sense of place. It's this completely immersive experience that is unique to the form of cinema that you couldn't get from reading a book or from looking at a photograph or something like that. Now, I said there's something interesting thematic happening here, right? This guy on the right is just kind of laughing, and and we'll see why in a second here. We pan down and the dog is barking at him, and he makes a joke. Oh, your dog doesn't remember me. She was, or he or she, I can't remember if it's a he or she, was so much smaller the last time I saw them. They don't remember me. These guys like dogs, and they're laughing about the dog, and they're having this cute little moment with this dog while they are invading this town, murdering these people. The juxtaposition there. And like I said, you know, the central character of this film, Andrei Rublev, is a religious icon painter. So a lot of what this is looking at is like conceptions of morality, timelines, eternity, God, the value of human life, these philosophical questions about the meaning and the purpose of things, right? In this very dark and harrowing world filled with lots of violence and chaos and stuff like that. And it's testing the faith of the religious people in the film and things of that nature, which is a very bold and defiant film to make in the Soviet Union, because in the Soviet Union religion was outlawed, right? So it's a very kind of, and this film was actually, when this film came out, they forced Tarkovsky to take, I'm actually looking at this is the Criterion Collection Blu-ray, which I highly recommend that you go and buy, because this is where these clips are from, and this is a really incredible release. It's got the other cut of the film. His original cut of the film is 205 minutes, so 22 minutes or was taken out of this movie before the Soviet censors would allow it to show to the public after its premiere. So anyway, these guys are the perpetrators of this enormous atrocity that we are witnessing here, and they like dogs, and they're laughing about this dog. And so it's this really great juxtaposition and this very chilling little moment, and also plays into the themes of the questioning of the purpose of everything. Is there a God? What is morality? And all of these things. So we get into our, look at that horse looks pissed. It's trying to bite. I didn't even notice that before. Look at the horse, the black horse. Look at it. It is not happy. Is it trying to bite the dog? Look, it's furious. Maybe the bit in its mouth is just pissing it off. I don't know. So this is also interesting that we have these horses run away and the camera pans and takes our attention that way. So what is Tarkovsky doing here? He's taking us out of this little vignette with this movement and bringing us back into the action of the battle, so that when you're cut, the next scene I'm going to show you is not the next scene in the film, right? There's other action before that, but when we cut back into the battle, it makes sense because we're on the action of these horses running, chasing this person. We're not just cutting from these guys just talking, right? Now, what I think is really interesting about this next shot is that it kind of creates a sense of symmetry with the first shot I showed you, because the first shot is showing action on multiple vertical levels, right? And I mean, look, this is insane. You've got stuff happening down here, right? You've got horses coming by down here, and you've got horses coming by up here. Spoiler alert, the crane is going to come up, and we're going to see yet another layer. The visual density of this is such an immersive and incredible cinematic experience. And Tarkovsky, he wrote a book about his movies, which is called Thoughts on Cinema. I'm not going to remember the name of it, but it's a really, really incredible book where he talks about all of his movies. And a consistent theme that he talks about, especially early in his career, like when he was making his first film, which is Ivan's Childhood, and then this film, is trying to find a unique language to cinema that it can only be expressed in cinema. So when we're seeing all of this movement and all of this depth and these continuous shots to give us these three-dimensional spaces with all these layers to them, that is a very uniquely cinematic use of space. So this not only ties into the immersive experience Tarkovsky is trying to give you and the thematic things that he's addressing, but it also relates to his kind of like philosophical notion of aesthetic and the form of cinema. So we got these horses and the camera's following the horses. It's a lot of horse movement, obviously, in this scene. And then we've got, I think that horse is dying. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. And then you've got these people, this horse here. You see this guy's like, this horse is like bucking around on this guy. I think it's dying or he's killing it because it's been injured or something like that. And now I should say also, this is where, if this is the shot that's maybe not for the squeamish, because there's nothing violent in this shot, but there is something that is implied that is not for the squeamish. So maybe, you know, if you've made it this far, this might be the part you might not like so much. Okay. So then we're moving up, right? We were down, we were looking at down here and this, and then we moved away to switch our background from that layer to this layer. And now we're creating a new foreground. And just, I mean, look at how much depth there is to this. Okay, so we come up here and we see that there are these guys in front of the camera. And there's this whole new space that we didn't know about that we're moving into. Okay, now they've got this woman and they're trying to drag this woman away. And now look, you've got the horses in the background. You've even got, I don't even know what this is. This might just be a building, but like there's so many layers of information you can look at. These guys under the tree are doing something over here. You could have very easily just had a shot like out front of a hut or something where these guys are trying to drag a woman out of the hut or something like that. And you've accomplished essentially the same function that you've accomplished here, but you are not accomplishing the same thing with form that you're accomplishing here. So these are the layers of things that like great filmmakers are doing when they're giving you incredible cinema. I just, the movement of this shot and the horse, you see the horses are still going down there and these guys are trying to drag this woman away. And that's the end of the video there. But, and that's a very bleak kind of thing to end on, and I understand that, but this is a very, very, very bleak scene, and it segues into this kind of philosophical bit with some of the central characters that's really intense, where they're talking about what kind of God might let this happen, what kind of world do we live in, what is the morality of all this. Like, it ties thematically into the film. But those shots, those 4 shots that I showed you, then the final shot is 31 seconds long in total. So it's a two plus minutes, give it's like 2 minutes and 12 seconds of shots that I think we just looked at. But it's just, to me, this is such incredible filmmaking, because like I said, it's giving you an immersive experience by exposing you to multiple individual experiences and also the chaos of the whole battle, right? It's giving you a complete immersive experience in the time period and the world through the horses, the costumes, the sets, the weapons, all of that stuff. It's fulfilling Tarkovsky's philosophy on the form of cinema, and it's also speaking to the themes of the film. So I mean, that's like kind of all I really wanted to talk about here. I don't have some grand conclusion to draw. I just thought those are such incredible shots, and I just wanted to kind of break them down and share them with you. I hope you enjoyed that video. If there are other movies you want to see me do videos of this nature on, please do let me know. I think I'm going to do a separate video on a different thing about Andrei Rublev. I want to talk about the final vignette in the film, which is probably my favorite vignette in the film, which is just really powerful and astounding. And I want to talk about like the themes and metaphors within that vignette and kind of relate it to other parts of the film. But that's that for now. My name is Will. I thank you for watching the channel. I hope you enjoy the channel. If you're not subscribed, but you made it this far and you could subscribe, that would be much appreciated. And we will see you next time.